Wes Craven has always had a forte for horror, with examples like The Last House on the Left in 1972 and The Hills Have Eyes in 1977. The horror movie, which stands as one of Wes Craven's greatest creations, will always have to be A Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984. This movie follows a bunch of teenagers that are being mysteriously killed by some supernatural force. In this video, you'll find out exactly why I'm drawn to this movie. First of all, the cinematics look fucking amazing, and by amazing I mean fucking terrifying. In fact, my aunt actually mentioned screaming bloody murderer watching this in the cinema when she was my age. Yes, a wonderful environment to grow up in. If this movie was filmed in the 80s, you can expect things like actual practical effects, which are really good. The practical effects were all done by Jim Doyle, while the makeup was done by Dave Miller. The set pieces themselves look fucking stunning, as well as Freddy Krueger's glove, which has become so iconic it's seen on every single piece of media Freddy Krueger is in. Speaking of Freddy Krueger, he is played by Robert Englund. Robert Englund's charismatic personality made Freddy Krueger a lot more scarier. Although Freddy Krueger as a character is completely fictional, there is actually a Chinese, or should I say Hmong origin for Freddy Krueger, known as the Dachol. This entity will kill their victims in their sleep. The Hmong and the Han go way back, but one thing it's definitely certain is that the Hmong are very spiritual people. Forced to leave the Mekong Delta in the late 70s due to communism, the Americans took in the Hmong. Unfortunately for the Hmong, their lifestyle, their animistic culture, didn't really cater to the United States. And like an Allosaurus tailing a wounded Diplodocus, the Dachol, by far the most volatile sleep paralysis demon ever to be conceived, saw an opportunity in their moment of weakness and they exploited it. The Dachol were relentless, the Hmong knowing the threat but unable to do anything about it. And it was not just the Hmong, it was also the Japanese and Thai. The deaths were all too similar. It will always start with a victim writhing around in their beds, almost struggling to sit up, before their lives slip away, just like that. In fact, the 12-year-old boy said that something was chasing him so he didn't dare sleep. His parents didn't believe in him when their parents actually got him to sleep. Thinking the crisis was over, they actually relaxed. During the middle of the night, the boy started screaming. When the dad decided to go up and check, he saw that his son was dead. More peculiarly was that their son actually took the coffee machine from the kitchen to his room. They also found out that their son never took the sleeping pills they gave him, instead hiding them. The Americans, knowing fuck all about the supernatural, claimed this phenomena as sudden unexplained nocturnal death syndrome. But I think Wes Craven, reading the article, knew exactly what it really was, the case of the supernatural. Wes Craven, seeing the possibility, actually used the Dachol and made it into an iconic character. And boy, was it an accurate adaptation of the articles he read. If I see someone in front of me that's able to stretch his arms to anatomically impossible lengths, I'm booking it the fuck out of there. Fucking hell no, man. Scenes that left a big impression on me was the bath scene and also the wall stretching scene. The wall stretching scene was achieved using practical effects. In order for the scene to work, Jim Doyle cut a hole through the walls of the set and replaced the wall with spandex. The spandex being needed to stretch the wall, making it look like he's reaching out for Nancy Thompson. Another scene was Glenn being pulled into a bed. Glenn, who was played by a young Johnny Depp, was pulled into a hole that was cut into a bed. With the use of illusions, they were able to make it look like blood was pouring out of the bed, like a fountain. Fucking brutal scene. Oh wait, and it only gets better from there. Enter Tina's death. Tina thought she was awake, but in reality, she wasn't awake, so Freddy Krueger used that time to literally drag her across the room, slashing her, and also framing her boyfriend. I mean, holy fucking shit, this scene is absolutely brutal. This was the first kill we saw, and boy, did it leave an impression on me. You heard it before, I'll say it again. I fucking love A Nightmare on Elm Street. For this scene to work, Jim Doyle literally designed a rotating room. Strapping a guy into a car seat, the cameraman was supposed to film the entire scene in some sort of vertigo-inducing scene. The result of this was the most over-the-top death in cinematic history, and boy do I love every single last bit of it. Freddy Krueger used to be a regular child killer until he was murdered by the parents of the people he murdered, which honestly made it a lot worse because he came back as a vengeful spirit, haunting the Elm Street kids for generations to come. In the dream realm, he has reality-bending ability. It would seem like each time somebody is afraid of him, it only makes him stronger. Although in the sequels, it would be implied that Freddy Krueger likes to structure his kills in the most ironic way possible. Your best bet of defeating this guy is to just turn your back on him, completely forgetting he even existed. But really, he's able to pull himself out of the grave for one last scare. Ah yes, Freddy Krueger, the Springwood slasher, the bastard son of 100 maniacs. He's been put down so many times only to rise again, because in his realm, this is God. Robert Englund did an excellent job in portraying Freddy Krueger, because as gentle and friendly as he is in real life, on screen he is fucking terrifying. I gotta hand it to Wes Craven. It takes a man with real talent to make a movie that is not only a masterpiece, but is also terrifying and memorable in every single shape or form, and at the same time telling a cohesive story, drawing inspirations from events we Asians have to deal with whenever we try to adapt to the United States, and adapting it for the American demographic. This is representation without showing a Asian cast. This is perfect. Heather Langenkamp's portrayal of Nancy Thompson would always be representation for us Asians. A Nightmare on Elm Street will always be an Asian story without technically being Asian. I resonate with Nancy Thompson because I know exactly what it feels like to be stalked by the Dachshund. As for Freddy Krueger, he is actually the representation of that threat we Asians face. The threat of dying in your sleep is all too real. Though the Americans don't see it as such, there is no telling that, yes, the supernatural exists and is right under our noses. You can still spot the Elm Tree house in LA. Besides, in the movie it was actually stated that the Elm Tree house is, well, stationed in Elm Street in Springwood, Ohio. It's in Ohio. Of course it's in Ohio. Honestly, what the fuck did I expect? Of course, anything that can go wrong will go wrong in Ohio. Well, good luck finding the house because the map says we're fucked. Wes Craven actually mentioned they use at least 500 gallons of fake blood for the production of A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is literally something that just wouldn't fly for today's generation with the strictening standards of the MPAA. The MPAA is a thorn in every single horror fanatic's ass, and the first casualty of that type of restriction was definitely Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. The MPAA will be another can of worms to open, but I just want to say that we are unfortunate that this organization exists because all our favorite horror movies aren't that brutal anymore. Anyways, A Nightmare on Elm Street will always be a unique gem within the slasher subgenre. The kills are just fucking bonkers and absolutely brutal in every shape or form. That's the allure of it all. It really revolutionized the slasher genre, and this is definitely a franchise I will cherish for the rest of my days. With the success of the first Nightmare on Elm Street film, this spawned 5 sequels following the main continuity of Nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven's New Nightmare will later emerge, and this is supposed to be a spin-off which details the actual events which inspired A Nightmare on Elm Street. We'll also get Freddy vs. Jason in 2003, a crossover which pits Freddy Krueger versus Jason Voorhees. The crossover itself was teased in 1993 with the ending of Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday. Another fun fact is that the ending of Freddy vs. Jason was supposed to end with Freddy and Jason being dragged back to hell and meeting Elliot Spencer, also known as Pinhead, the leader of the Order of the Gash. Let me repeat to you guys, we almost got Freddy versus Jason versus fucking Pinhead. Even today, I'm still trying to process the prospect of having a hockey mask wearing zombie in the wood, fighting against a dream demon and a Cenobite who is also a Great War veteran. I know I've seen a lot of crossover movies, but I just didn't think the rabbit hole would go this deep. Oh, just to anybody who was wondering if I was actually teasing that I will eventually be covering the Hellraiser series, then you're pretty much in luck here, because I will be covering the series, might not even be in this decade, but I will be doing it, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, in 2010, we finally got a reboot to A Nightmare on Elm Street, which honestly, I appreciate the change in tone to make it a bit more dark. I'm sorry because I really love the gore of this movie, but that's hashtag not my Freddy Krueger. Jackie Haley ain't got shit on Robert Englund. Robert Englund is the GOAT whenever it comes to playing Freddy Krueger. I mean, you gotta love the James Bond-like personality of Robert Englund's Freddy Krueger. Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street will and forever be a horror classic. 1996 will also give rise to another one of Wes Craven's cinematic masterpieces, the Scream franchise. I will also be covering the Scream franchise in memory of Wes Craven. Anyways, like I said, Nightmare on Elm Street has definitely put a dramatic and positive impact in my life. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. I'm Trick One Ting. Keep venturing to the unknown, signing the fuck off. Hey, holy shit.
Tina?
No, fuck you, Freddy. Nope.